Everybody, this is Chad Madden, and we're getting ready for Bootcamp San Diego. Today I have a very special guest, Mary Daulong with BCMS. Mary is not a expert, she is the expert in compliance for private practice PT. She's been doing this for a long time, has been a therapist for quite a few years. I believe it's more than 40. We'll leave it at that, right?
That's right.
Okay.
I'll say more than 40. Yeah, that's good.
So she's very knowledgeable, completely understands compliance. By the way, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this here at the end, what we learned. But we actually had Mary come in here, do an on-site visit for us. She went through everything. It was awesome for our group. And in the end, we ended up discovering that we were leaving money on the table. So she's going to talk a little bit about that. But welcome to the call here, Mary. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Chad. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. And so Mary's going to be in San Diego, and she's going to talk about two things very specifically. One is called redundant coding. The other one has the word coding in it as well. It's coding to purpose. So Mary, can you give us a little bit of a heads up about what that is,
Sure.
those two terms, what that means?
Redundant coding is, I guess, my way of saying you're doing the same thing to your patient day in and day out, regardless of the diagnosis or the patient's needs, per your documentation. Most likely, most therapists are not doing the same thing. It's just their way of coding. So you may be doing a variety of things, but you roll it all into therapeutic exercise, or you roll it all into manual therapy or something of that nature. What it looks like when the claim gets filed is, regardless of the diagnosis, regardless of any comorbidities that the patient may have, you're stuck in the therapeutic exercise mode, and you bill that predominantly, or you have a predominant set of codes. So you always do therapeutic exercise, you may do a manual therapy, and then, maybe a neuromuscular, or maybe two of those or something of that nature. So it is very, very trackable. And one of the things I want to bring up today is, we have a tool now that has been laid out for us by Medicare, and it's called the Comparative Billing Report. A number of therapists have received a comparative billing report, and I'm going to call it a CBR. This report tells them how they behave from a coding perspective to their peers. And it looks at a number of things. One thing that is very, very clear, because they look at evaluation, reeval, two modalities, STEM and ultrasound, and then the top 5 codes that we use. So exercise, manual therapy, therapeutic activities, neuromuscular re-ed, and manual therapy. And they tell you, this is how many of these you did for this many patients over a year. So we're looking at Medicare patients. And this is how much each episode of care generated as far as dollars, allowable dollars from Medicare. They look at the utilization of the therapy cap exception, so the KX. And they've got it down to, this is how many minutes you average with your patients. And you can see the ones that are just getting beyond 38 minutes, so they can get those units. They have a very low per episode charge, because they're doing usually a modality and therapeutic exercise. And that is repetitive. You can see how many. I mean, we're looking at 5 times, 6 times more than the other key CPT codes. So this is in black and white. People are getting these comparison reports. They call it educational because it's not supposed to have any ramifications. However, you can see that you're on the books. And when you look at something that is this obvious, you see these codes and you see that you did 2,500 exercises and you did 30 therapeutic activities and you did 900 electrical stems, you kind of can see what's happening. The patient's in the door, kind of being treated with, it appears to be with not a whole lot of clinical decision making. because that's what we code. So that's that redundant coding. When we talk about coding to purpose, we're looking at this as well. If you're doing exercise, you are looking at strengthening, increasing range of motion, flexibility, those types of things. And that's in the code definition. But if you're really doing balance, but you're calling it exercise, you're not coding to purpose, you're coding lackadaisically, thrown it into exercise. It could be interpreted as a false claim, and that is a truly, truly devastating violation that has incredible financial and could be criminal ramifications.
Yeah, that can be devastating. Just to touch base really quick on the redundant coding, a common conversation that I'll have with an owner is they'll say, hey, how many units per visit are you averaging? We'll say 4. And they'll say, what do you typically bill? And they'll name a condition. And in the past, I would always say, well, it's usually a 97140 plus 97110 times 3. And it's like, oh, that's what we do. So it like becomes like its own little culture. Like, this is acceptable because everybody else is willing to do it. However, that does not mean that we're being compliant or completely in alignment with what the insurance companies are looking for when we're submitting claims.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I want to do is I just want to share with everybody a little bit of deep, dark secrets here. One is I have been audited by Medicare. Mary, I don't even think you know this. So this is.
I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you tell me.
And this was 8 or 9 years ago. Actually, June 26, 2009 is the day that I was.
Gosh. Yeah, I know. You would know.
And what happened was our head billing person wrote my name, even though I had treated less than 5% of all the visits, wrote my name on every single bill that we submitted. So it looked like I was doing all the care.
24/7, huh?
Yeah, that's right. So what happened is when they came through, the auditors were like, oh, okay, that makes sense. While we're here, pull these 17 charts. They went through them, and they nailed us on a little time in, time out, what I would call a gray area as we were introducing EMR to the industry. We were doing time in, time out in our electronic scheduler, MedEnt. We did not have it written in the charts, and they nailed us. And really, I had to pay a $15,000 fine there.
It's a hard experience, that's for sure.
Devastating. And so like broke us at the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like never want this to happen again. And I'll say this, to that tune, Mary did do a site visit for us. So there's a couple things I want you to go ask her about at boot camp. One is the compliance program. If you're like, if this is more than just a hobby, if you're a practice owner and you're serious about your business and you're growing and you want to be protected so that if Medicare or CMS ever does come knocking on the door, or another insurance company, you have all your ducks in a row so that you're not losing money. I want you to ask her, and I want you to write this down right now. It's called the compliance program. She'll tell you what it's about, what it entails, and how it keeps you legal. I know for us, I think the manual that you gave us was about 1,200 pages. Is that right?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. And instantly, like rather than me going out and trying to piecemeal that together, she has essentially years and years of culminated effort at keeping you compliant with everybody. And I'm not just talking about Medicare. I'm talking about OSHA, anything, all your
federal laws.
Yep, everybody. And it's going to be an awesome document for you to have if you're serious about your private practice business. So write down the compliance program. Go ask Mary about that. The other thing, for those of you specifically that are looking for like maybe you're talking about an M&A in 2 to 5 years down the road, so merger and acquisition, possibly selling your practice, and you're looking for everything to be locked tight, Mary does site visits. She can't do many of these. I think right now she can do maybe 2 or 3. You'd be overwhelmed with 3, right?
Well, yeah, if I did them too close together, because they're pretty intense, as you know.
They are. So we went through it. I threw a little temper tantrum during our compliance visit, but I got over it, and I actually learned that we were leaving money on the table, and we adjusted accordingly. It got our whole group together with regards to we want to be as compliant as possible, and we were able to do that. Actually just had another compliance meeting here internally recently with how we're working through our program. It is an awesome use, specifically if you're, again, this isn't a hobby, but you're serious about your business and you want a legit business, you need to do a compliance visit. Go visit Mary at the BCMS booth in San Diego. It's going to be awesome. It'll be life-changing for you. You're going to see how you're leaving money on the table. Any other parting words there, Mary?
The only thing I would say is that we do offer a just quick little go-to-meeting that covers the compliance program. So if people want to do, we call it a try before you buy.
Okay, great.
Alicia does that, and it's been very, very helpful for people to decide, yeah, I can do this, and it shows how you customize and that type of thing.
Awesome. So there's another option for you. I'm sure there'll be a sign-up sheet, and again, just to give you an idea, there's over 150 practice owners that are going to be in San Diego. Yeah, I think it's 159 practice owners, 209 total people. So find the BCMS booth right away if you're going to do this, because I'm sure even with the go-to meeting, there's a limited number of those as well. Can't do like 40 of those a week, right?
We can.
Okay, great. Then that stuff's great.
We can get everybody on the staff doing that. You better believe it.
Okay, so the big limitations on the site visit, but go talk with Mary, ask her about the compliance program, and take a look at where you're leaving money on the table and where you might be at risk for in the future. It's well worth your while. Again, if you're serious practice owner and you're serious about your business. Thanks for being on the call here, Mary.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great one.
Thanks.